Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the check-in. Uh, I have a couple of things I need to do really quick. Um, Privacy issues with Facebook. Get that out the way, and then we can kick this off and get it started. I know it's been a minute um, since the check-in has been on regularly. There's a lot going on with the channel. We'll get into that real quick, but also before I get started, I am by no means a psychiatrist, a therapist, a counselor, or anything of that nature. I'm just a man who's on a journey, sharing my journey, and in the process, hoping that that I can help someone as well understand what that journey is, because it's a tough one. Trust me, I'm still living it. Also, if you have thin skin, you are easily uh, hurt or offended or anything, this is probably not for you. There are going to be some harsh words. There's going to be some harsh realities. And sometimes that takes harsh ass words, but we're not here to offend anyone. We're not here to belittle anyone, uh, offend. I said that multiple times, or anything of that nature. We're here to help. So if you dream of cotton candy, bunny rabbits, and running through a field and rainbows and all that, it's probably not for you. But I would beg you to stay and to pay attention to some things. You might learn something. You might find out something about yourself. Um, but again, not here to hurt or harm anybody. With that being said, I am your host, Heat Detector, and this is the check-in. There's been a lot going on with the channel. We have a lot of new subscribers, and so there's a lot of people that don't know what the channel is about. I'm going to briefly go over that. Well, this show, the check-in, is exactly what it is, exactly what it sounds like. It's a check-in for anybody, male or female, that is going through any type of issue, any type of problems, any type of anything, because we all go through it. We all have issues. We all have problems. It's just about how we negotiate and navigate through those problems. And it can be very tough. It can be extremely taxing on the mind, the body, and the soul. Um, a lot of us struggle with addiction. A lot of us struggle with actually what the theme of the show is tonight, self-love. Um, we struggle with, shout out to Ace. We struggle with a lot of things, and that's what this show is about. We have other shows on this channel, from sports to entertainment to everything, but this channel to me is this show itself is the most important show to me, because if you go back on this channel and you watch the check-in, you can see the growth from the beginning to the end. I quit drinking 3 years ago, and I don't think I've ever been in a better place in my life, with the amount of focus that I have, with the amount of energy that I have, both spiritually, mentally, and physically. But in order for me to deal with the drinking and to quit, I had to deal with me. There was a lot that I had internalized. There was a lot that I had stuffed. There was a lot of trauma. There was a lot of things that I hadn't even recognized, that these things were pushing me to drink and to be a shitty ass person. And to be a shitty ass person to the people that I loved and cared about. And even more so, salute Microphone Misfits. I believe that's D Nick. Salute to you, bro. But one thing that came to me real fast was my self-worth and my self-love. I hated myself. I didn't love myself, and I didn't think I was worth a shit. And that played itself out in everything that I did. How I behaved, how I treated people. I thought I treated people well, but clearly I didn't treat them, to me, I didn't treat them as well as I could have. I wasn't being the best version of myself. And I didn't know how to be the best version of myself. For Christ's sake, I didn't even like me. And so I wanted to talk about that tonight. Those that know about the show, I generally, not generally, don't even think about this show until Sunday. But before I get into that, I want to thank everybody that watches the show, everybody that participates in it. Also, to thank everybody that has subscribed to the channel now, and those in the future, and those who have been here since day one. There's a lot going on, but dealing with it. This is what I asked for, so this is what I get, and I take it on. But I haven't been doing the check-in as regular as I normally did, as consistent as I normally have been. But one thing that I realized, and one thing that I took note of, even though I was feeling all of these things and being good and all this other shit, I still wasn't taking time for myself. And I wasn't giving myself the grace that I ask everybody after every show to give themselves, like, give yourself grace. And I wasn't doing that. And so I had to take a minute. I really needed, there were a few times we're doing the show, and I was supposed to do the show, and I just didn't feel like it. And it wasn't a cop out. It wasn't because I don't like, I love this show, by the way. Wasn't that I didn't love it or anything. It's just I was tired. And the first night that I did that, I felt bad, and I had to sit and really think about it and be like, seriously tell myself, man, you need a break. You need to chill out. It's okay. It's okay. You'll be all right. I really had to tell myself that. I really had to realize that I needed to take some time for myself. Fuck everything else. And that's a part of self-worth and self-love is you got to be a little greedy with yourself, I think. You have to be able to take time for yourself. You have to be able to be understanding of where you're at mentally and where you're at. And you got to take care of that. Most importantly, you got to take care of that, because your body's always going to talk to you. All these things are connected. Your mind, your body, your soul, it's all connected. So if your body and everything else is telling you to sit your ass down, then you probably should sit the fuck down. If your body is telling you to sit down and be quiet and breathe, then you probably should sit down, be quiet, and breathe. And that's something that I've been learning along this journey that I've been on, is that how important it is for me to take care of me. And some, like I said, some may hear that and say, well, that's selfish. How Sway? Because if I can't take care of me, I can't take care of anybody else. I can't do shit for anybody else. That's a fact. D-Nick is in the building. Hold on. Let me get you in here, bro. Boom. There he is. Uh-oh. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing, man. Holding on, as my brother Mel would say, holding on like a hubcap in a fast lane.
Word, man. What do you think about what I'm talking about? I had to turn this down a little bit.
Man, I think it's genuine. I think it's genuine, and it's such a loaded situation of stuff with emotions and all of that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Stuff. I know I've been battling, you know, I guess depression, and all of that type of stuff. And man, so I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah. I had I mean, I'm sure you seen that that the check-in hasn't been on as regularly as normal. But I really had to like sit the fuck down. You know what I mean? I really had to, and I didn't. At first I was like, man, I'm just tired. I don't feel like doing it. Then as 8:30 rolled around, I was like, man, I felt guilty. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, for what? I need to chill. I need a minute because things were starting to, you know what I'm saying, pile up. Things with stresses and life and family and friends and things. Everything was just piling up, and I was just moving, but not giving myself a minute, you know, to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? To be comfortable in that moment and to just, be happy. Because a lot of times my happy space, because I'm around a lot of noise and a lot of music and a lot of shit all the time, the happiest place for me is nothing. Dead ass
I'm
silence.
I'm terrible at that personally.
Really?
I am. I'm always doing stuff, and I feel like I gotta do stuff.
I do too. But
And
what we got to do is take care of self. Most importantly,
man, if you struggle, yes. Answer, yes, you do. The hard part is if you struggle with like loving yourself and being in your thoughts, you do a lot. And for me, I don't, I didn't have or don't, and haven't. Like I didn't have like a lot of vices, any vices really,
right?
to kind of distract myself
Mm-hmm.
from. So it's like, so positive things become the vice,
Right.
like work,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Like I would say my last vice was probably like, like I'm a recovering sex addict. I was always getting laid, never dogging no ladies out or any of that type of stuff. I wasn't on that. Everybody was peace and copacetic, but I had a lot. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And I ain't like no fly, handsome dude, but I just had a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
that was like brothers, and no one recognizes that as a vice. So it's easy for that to kind of skate away. And it's like I don't say that braggingly or or anything because it's not. It's some actually I'm actually ferociously embarrassed about, you
Right.
know. But it's the situation, it's my shame, my truth, and my reality, and so have to, in recovery of all of that is just like whoa. But because I don't have a conventional vice, people, it's hard to recognize it. Not to
Right.
say it's easy if you're like on smack or like alky or any of that type of stuff,
He
but
said, "Okay."
nobody recognizes that as a vice,
Right.
and and they're like, "Oh man, that ain't a vice." And you was having fun, and like, yeah, so is the dude on smack. So is the
Right.
cat that is drinking his liver into nothingness.
Right.
Like
Right.
everybody is having fun. They're trying to distract yourself. It's a weapon of mass distraction. It's a WMD.
Weapon of
You know.
mass distraction. Oh shit, that's a good one. That's a damn good one.
So yeah, like it's. Sorry, I'm a rapper.
Nah, nah, you're good. Nah, that's shit. I know. I mean, but that was. I like that. Weapon of mass distraction. That's crazy. Not crazy, but like
And
that's dope.
it's crazy too. And and so it be hard. So you do a lot of things. Commend you, man. Commend you on that.
Yeah, I don't. It's really weird, man, because I've talked to people who really struggle with drinking, and make no mistake about it, I had a drinking fucking problem. It was a fucking problem. I didn't really recognize it as a problem. I recognize it as a problem now, but it's not a it's not a problem to me any longer because if that makes any sense, I don't even think about the shit. I have no desire. I'm in such a place right now where uh, I most definitely would never ever 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 want to go back to that space. But with that being said, that left me dealing with all of my issues, all of the things that I had been not dealing with, stuffing and ignoring and just not, and some not even aware of, uh, all my life because I literally drank all my life, damn near. So my biggest struggle now is figuring out all of these things. Uh, I had I had something happen the other day, and I had said something walking by, and I didn't realize the power of what I had said and how it affected someone. And the shit fucked me up because when I did, it was almost, I'm not gonna say instantaneous, but when I did recognize it, which was a few seconds, maybe not even a minute, but I was like, holy fuck, oh shit, that's some fucked up shit. You know what I mean? How in the fuck did I? How in my mind, because of me working on all of these things all of the time and being very mindful of what I say and how I respond and react and how I behave with people, especially my loved ones. How in the fuck did that slip by me? You know what I'm saying? How in the fuck did that? Which afterwards led me down a fucked up rabbit hole and a good rabbit hole, and it just reaffirmed to me that I still need work, and I'm a work in progress, and I'm not saying that that is okay, but I found that it was okay for me to, because I did recognize it and because I was aware of it. I feel like I made amends with it. I feel like uh, the person that I said this to understood that, and I think that was the first time too that maybe they understood that I actually meant what I said when I apologized. So it was a big deal
Mhm.
for me. It was a really big deal. But that's, that's part of, because instantly I started hating myself. Instantly, I sat here in the studio and when I say I went down a rabbit hole, good and bad, but the first initial part of that was just bad. The guilt and the frustration and the anger that I had and towards myself was crazy. It was mad crazy, and it had me thinking about self love and self worth and how all of these, and just something simple as that. And I'm not making that situation light, but just those couple of words, how quickly things can, if you're not self aware, if you're not, how quickly that could take you somewhere, which was kind of the catalyst for the show tonight. It just happened yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday or day before. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling. I don't know, but it affected me, and it made me realize that I still needed to work on me as far as me loving me and me understanding me, because that's a part of self worth, right? Is me accepting me for who in the fuck I am. I'm not saying I'm a shithead or an asshole, but accepting me. And when I make the apology and I know that I mean it, and it's not just me rambling or me drinking and saying, yeah, I'm sorry, I fucked up, but me taking accountability for it, me reflecting on it, and me doing these things, that shit was for me. I needed that.
I there's there's a approach. I won't go through it all here because I couldn't do it justice like speaking here. But there's a I guess it's an approach in the men's work like that we do that I've done and that I've done as a counselor and as a proprietor of like facilitating group sessions for young men, and I've been a part of anything I've done as a counselor. I've had to do myself, you know.
Hmm.
Like that's like a requirement in the gig, and it's important, and it's that's why there's no age of this stuff when we do men's work. But one part of that, one thing of that is called shadow work, and you know your shadow is always with you,
Right.
and it's always with you, and you have to. And the thing, and the reason this shadows work is because you have to learn to live with it, you know. And
Right.
how do you deal with it? Because there's a part of it that it will never go away. But that doesn't mean that, oh shit, I'm never gonna go away. I'm always gonna do that's I mean there's a shadow work is probably a big a big reason why most people who have addictions like call themselves in recovery because they're learning to live with it, not participating in it, but they're learning to live with it because they can't shake it. Just you can never shake your shadow.
Right.
So these demons are always going to be with us, but we have to learn how to function in spite of, you
Mm.
know, in spite of like, you have to remind you if you're suicidal, you have to remind yourself of reasons to live every day. As hard as that may be for someone who is utterly exhausted, you know, with the pain and all of that type of stuff, like they really ready to unalive themselves,
Hmm.
in respect to your
Thank you.
YouTube overlords. You know what I'm saying? Right. Um, yeah, like they're my therapist sidebar, my therapist was like, I don't like to say unalive. We say what it is. It's and he used. I was like, man, I'm a artist that have to do like interviews and public platforms. I can't say those because it messes up certain algorithms. So I have to say
Right.
unalive. He was like, okay. I was like, it's just a habit. I know what it means and what I'm really trying to say, but it's just a practice. But anyway,
Right.
that was just side tangent. But like, yeah, like no, it's a lot, and but they have to practice as long as they think they want to be, they have to practice like finding ways to want to be here, every
Hmm.
day. You have to remind yourself of not every day, every moment to not take a sip, not even, oh, well, a little daiquiri ain't, but no, you can't take nothing. You have to remind yourself, in spite of, especially in what we do, we work in entertainment, and so we like are around that. So if that's a issue for you, we work around that all the time. We're around that
Yeah.
all the time. And you have to challenge that. People that don't even know, it's like, oh, let me get you a drink. I know how much people offer me that. So it's a practice. It's a forever practice.
Hmm.
Even if you feel like you got it conquered, some days are stronger than others.
Very true.
And it and that's everything. Everything, like not getting caught up in all moments and all of this type of stuff. You know, like man, just understanding, and then that's tricky too. Like, that's like on this end, like for me, like understanding is a part of the gig, and like I pride myself on it. But then that's hard too because when you have a lot of understanding, people who are not savvy on why you have understanding tend to believe or take it as like, oh, that's a justification or you're making an excuse. I'm making no excuse for nothing. I
Mm,
am just understanding, what someone is going through, and I have to, so I know how to challenge that respectfully,
right.
you know. Um, but that's hard. That can wear on you, like as a clinician and all of that type of stuff. It wears on you.
Yeah.
It
Well, I'm
totally
no
wears on
clinician,
you.
but there's a lot of shit that wears on me. You know what I mean? It does. Yeah. So I get what you're saying. Um, and
I
that's
was,
why,
I
like,
was, I,
go ahead, bro.
no, I'm sorry. No, I
Uh,
was. It just made me think of. It made me think of like, man, I was like, we were at a show, and there's this woman who was a comic book artist, and she was no, I'm sorry, she's not she's a science fiction writer. She has all these books about. She writes science fiction, and so we're there, and we were talking, and because they see us as us, the microphone misfits, and I see her as just a science fiction writer. And we were talking, and I was like, "Oh, like, what do you do outside of this?" And she was like, "I am a 911 like operator." I was like, "What? That's what
mm,
you do?" She's like, "Yeah, that's how I have the freedom to, be to travel. And that was, her day job is I can write these books and I have the freedom to be on the road and write these books and be at these conventions. I was like, what is it like being a 911 operator? You hear
if she
people
writes science
all
fiction, I bet she has no lack of content that she can that she could pull from.
well, she actually is like, that is like her escape, because she was like, it is the most stressful, most like every you hear every for like 12 hours a day, you hear people in crisis.
Mm, that's a lot.
That's a lot. 12 hours a day. And I was like, oh my God, how do you deal with? She was like, I spent a lot of time in therapy.
Mm,
A lot of time in therapy. And I was like, my goodness, my heart bled for that sister. You know what I'm saying? Like, I almost was scared to buy her science fiction books because I was like, and but it's a thing, and it's like sometimes we forget that these people have real lives. Like
right.
there's no 501k for if you're working entertainment. You work for
No.
yourself. I'm like a nerd. I'm always curious about, man, what do people do outside of their art for
Excuse me.
professional artists. And when she said that, I was just like, dang, man. And I brought that up because it's imperative that we do work on ourselves. I
Yeah.
was really inspired when she said, like, I am in a lot of therapy. And she just said it like, I am in a lot of therapy.
You felt the
It's
weight of
like
that shit when she said it.
I like, cause I'm seeing her in a different context. Like we're performing and we're selling our wares and she's selling her wares, like, oh, I'm gonna catch you guys at the show later tonight. And basically you're living where you're working at.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I was just like, man, I was just looking and she was right across from us. I was like, man, this is so dope, man. You got a new book. And so what do you do outside? She was like, I am a 911 operator. That shit is so intense. And I'm like, how do you take care of yourself? And she was like, I spend a lot of money in therapy because I need it. I have to work on it because I spend 12 hours a day hearing people in crisis.
Mm. Yeah, the self work, the work on self, yeah, the self work. That, yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that 12 hours a day, but I know what my 24 hours in a day looks like, and goddamn,
Right.
for I it to be really honest, like I don't know where in the fuck I would be without some really close friends, and you included, D,
Appreciate you.
and me not having even the check in, or me still drinking or anything like that. I couldn't even imagine right now. I could not even imagine where I would be if I wasn't mindful of the work that I need to do. If on myself, fuck everything else, but myself. You know what I mean? If I wasn't aware of all of these things, even like I said, even catching that little shit that I said, I didn't realize how much. Number one, that I used to do it, and I can't even remember the last time I said what I had said, but and I did it so casually, and watch that person crack and emotionally break just off of that little shit that I said, and it fucked me up. But it also helped me to realize that I still need to work on me, because even when I think that I'm good, I'm still not good. I still need to focus on me, and I need to understand the importance of me. And
I'm sorry. I
go
didn't
ahead,
mean to cut you.
go
I
ahead.
I I, I want a question. Do you, like, because you said about the check-in really helping you, and excuse me. Do you feel, because you know that this the check-in helps, because I mean, I get, I always joke about, like, you're on the Z list. You're what I'm saying,
Right.
of notoriety. Do you feel like the check-in helps people, like strangers, hold you accountable,
I don't know.
or
I
do
never
you
thought of it.
care?
No, honestly, because I hold myself accountable. Like,
But but yes, but also there's other people. I ask that because, I mean, the type of
yeah,
music that my
I think
group
I
does.
know. I think I kind of know where you're going. I don't mean to cut you, bro. But
Yeah.
it's like talking to someone yesterday, and it also had me thinking about shit, right? Like how a person's perception of someone from a distance, right? And so, like, if somebody else says, "Oh, from my experience, that's a good person," right? But maybe they don't know them personally. You know what I'm saying? And some people in life, uh, they're one way in public, just gallivanting with this person, talking to that person, whatever. But when there's a personal relationship with somebody else, they're a completely different motherfucker. They're could be
Right.
mean, could be whatever, they could be whatever. And one thing that I have learned about me is I'm me 24/7. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that I ever really, no, I can't say that. But I know I'm good where I'm at right now. I'm and I don't I care what people think, but I don't give a fuck, because I am genuinely me daily.
Yeah, but you're
So
you 24/7. But my interpretation of you is not everybody else's interpretation of
no,
you,
I get that.
and
That's
vice
what I'm
versa.
saying. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I get
I,
it.
I, but I asked the question because I was listening to, well, I was there. I was live there, at a live podcast, Jay and Sullivan Get Old, and it was that pod that, and it's live. It's Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, and they are in the comics world. But that pod is really about keeping Jason Mewes accountable, and they always count. They share stories and all this other kind of, like, wild, like, nutty stuff, which is fun. It's entertainment, but it's always about keeping him clean. Like, the
Hmm.
the the gist of it is to keep him clean. and they, you
I think I get
know,
what you're saying. People,
and so their fans and people always like, hey, they give like, what's up, Jason Mewes? Like, stay clean and you good, and they check on him, and and when he said it, and I was like, man, so I was like, does that get I was fortunate to ask him, does that get you? Does that ever get exhausting? And he was like, man, it just as long as it keeps me clean, I'm cool.
you know what I tell
And I
people?
was,
I get what you're
yeah,
saying now. Do they hold me accountable like in that regard? Let me, because I this shit happens all the time. We'll be
mm-hmm,
somewhere, maybe somebody will offer me a drink, or there's an alcohol there or something, or I'll go like it was maybe a week ago. There was somebody here, and I grabbed the bottle. They had brought some tequila, and I grabbed the bottle. I was moving it, and somebody said to me, "Man, you better put that shit down, bro. You ain't finna have a drink." And I stopped him, and I just looked at him and said, "Man, let me tell you something, bro. On some real shit. If I want to take a drink, ain't nobody in this fucking nobody's gonna stop me. Nobody. So no. I'll stop you. The fuck you will. This that's my will, not yours, bro. It's mine. If I want to drink, I'm gonna fucking drink. That's the bottom line. But I'm not going to. But you're not the one to tell me when and if and how.
why is that offensive to you? Why is
It's
that triggering
offensive to
you?
me because it it it's offensive to me because it tells me that it tells me this is what goes on in my head that
Mm-hmm.
for some reason someone sees some weakness in me, or there's some kind of something in me, or that I'm faking this, or I don't know, but it's something like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's
You don't
offensive
think
to
that's
me,
ego?
huh?
That sounds like ego, though, bro.
No, it's not, because it's deeper than that. It's not. It's for real. It's not. It's not ego. If I felt it was ego, I would I would own up to it. It's not ego. It's
I
just
mean,
maybe, maybe, maybe it is. Maybe it's because I don't like somebody telling me what the fuck I can and can't do.
I think there's that. I challenge that.
Yeah,
I think that's ego of like, I don't, want someone to tell me, because even if it's for my betterment, I
right.
still don't want you to tell me what to do.
But if I say I
I
don't
challenge.
drink, then can't it just be left at that? And can't I be trusted to do so? Can't I be trusted that even if I grab something, and you don't know what my motive is before I even pick the bottle up, you don't know what my motive is to come at me and to say things, and it's just like, what the fuck? No, man, get the fuck out of here.
No, 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 I challenge that heat.
Okay.
I challenge it,
Well, maybe it is
and yeah,
ego.
it's totally ego, brother.
All right. Well, I'll say this then. I'll say this then. And in my own defense, uh, that ego that does that is part of that constitution that I have to not drink, if that makes any sense to
I mean,
me.
that's a perspective.
Right. Well, it's mine.
I, I think,
The thing is I don't think about drinking until somebody brings it up to me. And then I'm like, what?
but that's a part of accountability,
Right.
right? Because of the past, like you may be past the past, but the past still is a thing. If you want to know the unknown, you first study the known.
Right.
So if it's like, okay, well, he was this, like, I,
Well,
I
now that you
know
brought that
because,
shit up, I, I did the same thing when I was drinking. So, yeah. Like, what you mean I can't have another drink, man? Fuck you, man. Give me that goddamn bottle. you know?
you see, like,
Yeah.
I, I'm that way, man. Like, I'm that. I'm
Shit.
that way when man, because it was a nice day in Chicago the other day. Um like really, really nice. Like
Right.
hot. And that means women I
Yeah,
won't say people. I'll
I
be
know where you're
specific
going.
and say women were wearing their come and get it outfits on.
Scantily
You know,
clothed.
yeah. And I seen a sister with, you know, what did Dr. Groove want to say? She had a shape like an inverted S with a full front court and a backyard that's blessed. And but she had she had a mini skirt that was really nothing. It just because her booty was all out
Hold on,
completely.
1 second, real quick. Let me read this because this is from somebody that I know very well. Shout out to Mikey. He says, I think I get what you're saying. He like trust me enough to know my intentions are good, but I also get I shouldn't get offended if someone is uncertain with my action and feels the need to step in. Hmm. Okay. I
Um, I well,
You want to
man,
challenge that too, huh?
m-
He said, but listen. He also says if they believe they're stepping in for my good. Okay.
I mean, I can't tell people what to and not to get offended, no matter the intention. Like, because the thing about accountability is you are responsible for your actions, whether intended or unintended.
Unintended. Right.
So that's like the definition of accountability. So like I can't get at you. That's why I said you shouldn't get offended by them. I said I challenge that
Right. And guess
because
what?
like
While you when you did challenge it, I did take a step back and like, oh well, you know what? Maybe he's right. Uh,
and but I don't have the right, license or not. I don't have a right to say you get offended with that shit. No, I that's why it's like, and this is a practice for me, and even for people like colloquially, like if you talking to people, you know, like man, I challenge that because people, all right, well, what's up? You'll be like, all right, we'll challenge it. It's like, well, do you think that's ego? And all that, and you will find it yourself. I don't have to tell
right.
you that's ego. You're being egotist. I don't have to tell you. I can challenge it and allow you the space to process it. And it's like, dang, that was ego, and it's really I just don't like being told what to do. And this person did have, righteous intentions, because they're concerned for me, but that just triggered the thing that I don't like being told what to do, which is
Well, there's
something
a
else that
but there's
I
the
got to
other
figure out
part
for
of it
myself.
too. The other part of it too is I the need for trust me. I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Trust me. I have a need for that.
Mm.
For myself. You know what I mean? I don't. When I tell people I don't give a fuck about drinking, I don't. I really, honestly, truly don't. And I'm not trying to trick myself into believing it. I don't. No, I'm just
But
saying that.
yeah, no, but if you have a need, because what you just said, I have a need for people to trust that I can
Right.
do this, then that has to be proven,
True
you
indeed.
know.
But I
And
have been.
so,
But not only have I proven it, I consistently prove it. You know what I'm saying? But and some, these
and you
people
have
that are
to,
the people that say it to me are people that I'm around all the time.
but it hasn't been consistently proven to them.
I suppose
No, because he challenged it.
this
He,
shit even came. Hey
you,
man, this shit
he or
came from
she,
my sons as well.
as they should. Salute to them.
Man, fuck them niggas. No, I told them both. I was like, because they were talking about, well, if you do take a drink, we're gonna outside. Well, we better go outside then, right now. I don't even need a drink for that. You know, I don't. But I get what you're saying. I really do. But again,
And
there
it's
is a
hard.
part.
That's why it's hard. But look, my point is like for someone who I was with someone who knows of my. And so when they saw, it was like, no, don't be. I was like, I ain't okay. I just took it like she the one with the dress like 3 inches above the thing. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But okay, I have that issue, that past issue, and I've been like on a straight edge when it came to that
Mhm.
demon and addiction. Like I've never, so it's like, okay, okay,
I now that I'm really looking at it because it isn't just that. I because I found myself in, on a daily basis. But I this is why that shit that I was said earlier meant so much because that little slip up, because I catch myself, generally speaking, all the time, like about to react. Listen, I had some weed here in the studio, right? And I don't
mm-hmm,
smoke, but I sometimes I keep sometimes motherfuckers would leave weed or whatever, and I'll put it
right,
up
right,
because if somebody else comes in and they want to smoke or they didn't bring their
right,
smoke or they
right,
forgot it, so I'll give it to them. So my sons are ridiculous fucking weed heads. So I had put it away, had hidden it in plain sight, kind of. And I'm
right.
sitting
Okay.
here doing some shit, and I see my son out the corner of my eye on the other side of the studio, and he's like low key rummaging through shit. And I asked him, I said, "What are you doing? Because there's nothing over there for you. So what are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, nothing. I was just whatever, whatever." So later on, somebody comes to the studio for a show, and they're like, "Man, I forgot my weed." I was like, "Oh, don't trip. I went to get it. Shit gone." I'm looking all over the place, and I'm like, "Man, goddamn! I knew I put this shit down somewhere." No, I knew exactly where I put it, but it was gone. And immediately I thought of my son because he was over there earlier. I said, "This
Yeah.
motherfucker, right?" But normally I just would have fucking spazzed out. God damn it. But I didn't. I said, let me look for it, make sure, and if I can't find it, then I'll call him and just ask him. So I couldn't find it, obviously. Uh, I call him, he doesn't answer. He comes in the studio about 15 minutes later, and I said, normally I would have just spazzed out and been like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Blah blah blah. So I go to him and I say, "Hey, you didn't happen to pick up something, did you, here in the studio?" And he's like, what do you mean?" I was like, come on now. Did you grab the weed that was down here?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Why would you do that?" He's like, "I know it was wrong. I know I shouldn't have done it, and I really apologize for doing it. I know it was wrong. I know it was wrong, Dad." My Before there was part of my brain that wanted, "You mother," but I was like, "All right, don't let it happen again. It wasn't yours, and if it's not yours, don't touch it. Or ask. You know, and and that I left it at that. But then I thought, well, fuck, where does that leave him? So he did it, and then there was no accountability. I mean, I think he took accountability, but I think he knows where I'm at right now, and it's like, okay, if he takes quick accountability, kind of like, yeah, I took it. I know it was wrong, but I did it, and it kind of left me in a kind of a fucked up thought process. You know what I mean? Like I was like, yo, come on now.
There was a thing in counseling where someone had this is the adults and we were like, during the training, and someone had apologized, and and this is a real thing, and one of like, cause we're in a cohort of other counselors was do the training, and so this guy had did a thing that was, I guess you would consider wrong us in the training, and he apologized. And one counselor, and this is something that they teach us in men's work, and he was like, "Fuck your apology." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was like, and he was just going about all. He was like, and I'm don't man, I suck at this. I don't, because I don't personally agree with that stance, but I
Mm-hmm.
understand the point. And the fuck your apology part. in counseling, or more specifically in men's work, is like you're apologizing to get out of trouble, and we fuck your apology. There's supposed to be an atonement, and for, and retribution for the wrongdoing,
Right.
as much as you can do. And I forgot, man, I forgot to you're sup- you're supposed to say or do with that thing. But it really stood out to me because it caught me off guard, and he was like, "Fuck your apology," and I was like, "Whoa, shit!"
Well, you know what
Fighting
my
word.
thought was after it all happened later on. My thought is not what is the thought, but my action in that, because that's how I felt about it. From this point on, both of them are not allowed over here at all unless they're doing some kind of work. And if they cop an attitude about it, the point is that this is shit that they've done, and I've allowed it to go on. I haven't allowed it like that, but it's been going on long enough, and that's it. This is the repercussions of your own actions, and the only way to fix that is for, I'm gonna have to trust that you guys aren't gonna do this kind of shit again. But until then, if you ain't in here doing any type of shit,
And they can't decide when you want when that trust kicks in, right?
right? It's
Right.
not their decision.
It's not their decision. The same way, it's not your
I knew you was going. I
decision.
knew it. I knew it. As soon as I said it, I'm like, this motherfucker. Whoa! That motherfucker said, "Got him." Let me pull you. Let me pull your ass in there. Why? I knew it. But you're right. You're right. You're 100%
Yeah.
right. And I get that. But but if we take that all the way back to the self-worth and the self-love, I mean, for me,
Mhm.
that encompasses a lot of it for me, because I didn't respond and react the way I was able
It does.
to
It
process this
does.
shit, have some decent critical thinking, and you know what I mean, and move forward from there and make
And
a
boundaries make everybody uncomfortable, but they're boundaries for a reason. A
yeah,
reason. So yeah.
absolutely.
So and all of this shit is a practice, man. It's easy. The Milton boy say? It's fun to do bad things. It's fun to do
Right.
bad things. And so it's work to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I go back
Man.
to my grand I go back to my grandfather. He was like, man, it took you like it took you 1 year, kindergarten. It took you 6 years of elementary school, 2 years of middle school, 4 years of high school. All those years of education, it only took you 1 second to walk across that stage and get your diploma.
Hmm.
And it would have only took you 1 second to just drop out.
That's heavy.
And he laughed at me after he said this shit.
There was a lot of wisdom in that old man. A lot
Man,
of wisdom.
and I'm like, dang, man, you're right, and that's what it is. But it takes 1 second to drop out. Cause I got friends that dropped out, and I was like, man, I'm done with this shit, and it was
Mm-hmm.
done. And now they gotta get restitution and gotta go through the GED classes and all of this type of stuff. Or you gotta deal with the stigma of being considered unskilled labor, and it's rough.
Took me 1 second to quit drinking. It's gonna take me forever, to get all of the work done. Or maybe we'll never get it all done, but I'll be
It's a
better.
practice.
It's a practice, and at
It's a
the end of it, I'll
practice.
be better. Yeah,
And luckily though, you got a lot of loved ones that'll call you out and be like, man, put that shit away.
yeah. And you know what I'll say? Fuck, you ain't gonna tell me shit. Nah, I'm actually going to be very more mindful of that now. Uh, you know, maybe I'll
Growth,
say
man.
maybe I'll say something like, "Rest assured, I won't I won't be drinking. I'm just moving the bottle." You know what I'm saying?
Like I got it. I'm just moving the bottle. I ain't, I ain't. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Play with yourself. What did that person say?
They
I
were
missed
saying to show the it says stopping in to hit the like and and sh- and show love. Oh, that's
Oh,
Steph
bless.
JK. She's one of the members. She was our first
Nice.
member that signed up for membership to the channel. Mad love,
Nice.
Steph
Congrats.
JK.
Congrats to y'all and everything with the channel, man.
Thank you. Thank you. It's man, it's a grind. You know what it is, man. But we in it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it is what it is, and it's gonna be because I ain't stopping. What one of the things that I found is that I have a lot of tenacity, man. And oh shit, let me tell you something. I was talking to someone, and they were saying some stuff to me. And they're like, "Man, you're this, you're that," and it started to fuck with me. And this goes back to self love and then being uh being comfortable in who I am. Because
Yes.
I had never been able to take those kind of compliments before and not understood them. You know what I'm saying?
The rough, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm beginning to be really comfortable in me and really stepping into my own shoes, if you will. You know what I'm saying? For the first time in my life, I believe. And it's a beautiful fucking thing for me, because understanding that, oh shit, like when you tell me something like, you fortunate for you, you have people who love you and care about you. 3 years ago I'd be like, oh, these motherfuckers don't give a fuck about me. You know what I mean? So when to hear that, even from you, to hear that, it's like, oh man, I take that. You know what I'm saying? I receive that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that is a tough thing to do when you're really not loving yourself like you're supposed to, like you should. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm really stepping into that, even with the channel and with every other thing that I do in life and with friendships and communicating to people. I'm really stepping into who in the fuck I really am. And I love that shit. I love
That's
it.
dope, man. I'm
Yeah.
really happy. I'm surprised. There's been some people I've had this happen to me recently. This happened to me recently. And I was at a show and like shout out to Ange 13 and Ray cuz they was talking shit about me. And it was I went to see Ange and
Mm-hmm.
Army of Two. Like shout out to Long Shot and
Long shot. Shout out long
Most
shot.
Definitely and KRA and everybody that was doing the thing with lyric and all that stuff. So anyway, I'm at this show and somebody like was like, "Oh man, microphone issues." Let me get a picture. Ange and Ray, like my bandmate, was clowning, and it was like, Ray was like, "Man, Thenick way more famous than me," and all of this type of shit. I was like, "Shut up, Ray. I just look like me all the time."
Right.
And so I took a picture with the cat, and there was another person that was like, "Yo, Thenick." And I'm thinking they know me from Microphone Misfits, and he was like, man, and he was talking to me about clinical stuff, and I was like, which never happens to
Right.
me in public, and I was like, man, how did you know about man? Like I seen you on the check-in, and I was like, yo, I was like, man, thank you,
Oh
I
wow.
appreciate that. And I've been meaning to tell you that, and I get to
Oh
tell you on the
wow.
public platform. I was like, dang, he did not know me from no comic books or no music. Like he was, he was like, "What's up, Denny?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, man? What's your name?" And we were talking, and homie was just like, man, he was asking me all of these clinical stuff and like, how's that going? That's like usually in my private
Right.
like civilian life. And I was like, oh, and I was answering. I was like, how did you know all of this about me doing that? You know, he was
Right.
like, man, saw you on the check-in, man. You always put everything on. I always love when you're on the check-in and all this stuff. Sometimes I'd be like, oh man, then they ain't on there, and I was like, oh man, I'm not a cast member. I just chime in because it's like I support it and it's a dope platform and it's like right before I got to get ready to jump into like the stuff
Right.
because I'm but I was like, man, thank you, and I want to tell you, I was like that happened to me, like, so like salute to all of your viewers and stuff on the
Man,
check-in.
that's dope as fuck. Well,
Yeah.
goddamn. Well, all right. Just made my night. And
I
shit.
I was I threw me off. I was like, wait, this was going to ask me about nothing music related, no comic book, nothing. He just keep asking me all these clinical questions, and I was like, what?
Hey man, that to me, that is a testament to why I must keep this show fucking going. You know what I'm saying? That for real, you
And
know?
it was at a hip hop show. It was at a hip hop show. It just stood out to me. I was like, I just saw someone who was like, oh man, think man, Michael from Hip Hop Congress, and I was like, oh man, thank you, man, what's up? And then that cat hit me with that, and I was like, whoa, okay,
Well, shout out to that. Well,
yeah,
D Nick, wanna call it one?
bless.
Uh, you know what we do here, man. Any last thoughts or words about tonight?
Man, love, healing, don't be afraid to be challenged I mean, there's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So if you're if you're if it's worth fighting for, then you can be challenged, And the thing about healing is if you fight, if you're being challenged, and you can only lose to whatever the vice is. But if you're being challenged to make you be better and you lose that fight, that's still a win. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's still a win. It's a beautiful L. If it's about getting better. The only thing you can lose to if you lose to the things that you're trying to conquer, you
Right.
know. Everything else, all those losses are wins.
Mm. Just just like the other day when I said what I said, and that was a loss, but at the same time, it was a win. It was a
Hmm.
win because me being able to recognize it and then seeing it in real time, how it affected that person, me understanding that, oh shit, I used to do that all the fucking time. And yeah, it was a L. I took it as a L, like a big ass L, but and it affected me. Like, but I get that, yeah, because it was a win as
And
well. But
now all the heat detector loved ones can be like, put that shit down, and he's gonna be like, okay.
yeah, they're gonna, and you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna look because the moment they go say something, because they already do that before you, you know what I mean? So I can imagine what their faces are gonna be like when I don't say anything, or I just go, no, you're right, but don't worry, I'm just gonna move the bottle over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fuck is who are you and what the fuck? But yeah, I appreciate that one, man. That was dope. But I would
Man,
like I'm gonna
appreciate you, man.
yeah, I'm gonna end the show by saying what I always say, man, is give yourself grace and give yourself some space and breathe. God damn, breathe. I can't stress that even anymore. You know, I had a moment the other day, and I did have to take a moment, even from this show that I love doing. I had to take a moment for myself and understand that it's not selfish for you to take care of you. It is not selfish at all for you to take care of you. So give yourself some grace. Breathe. And with that being said, this has been the check-in, man. Salute D Nick, man. Salute everybody
Bless.
that's been in the chats and everybody that watched. See you next Sunday. Peace.